So Hush, he has always been one of Batman's most dangerous villains. No, not because he is the smartest or even the most powerful, but because of one thing. He knows Bruce Wayne. He knows him in and out. To the point where no matter what Bruce can seemingly do or plan or what contingencies he has, Hush is always and consistently one step ahead, beating him every step of the way. And here, we get to see that reality so vividly firsthand. Though as always, welcome, this is AJ here at the Hero Informer. Bruce here though is looking back after his loss, after getting knocked out and beat down by Jason Todd, who came to the Batcave to finally end the Joker and kill him once and for all. Though of course, afterwards, as Batman is rewatching the footage of the cave, Batman tries to use his detective skills to, put two and two together. As he goes on to say, out of anger, Jason Todd, the Red Hood, struck me down, and I need to find out what happened between then and now. As it's actually revealed that Red Hood, Jason Todd, is working with Hush, just as Batman suspected from before. Literally, just Jason Todd breaking into the Batcave, fighting Batman and leading one of his worst villains to there. The utter betrayal that Bruce feels. A pupil, someone that he once considered his own son, betrayed him in his own home. Though again, we don't exactly know why Jason Todd is working with or for Hush, but we can infer that it has to do with the Joker himself, as it's pretty understandable why Jason would want or still has a feud or a grudge against the Joker, after what he did to him, of course, years ago, killing him. But it seems like Hush has different plans for the Joker himself, as when Jason goes to just headshot Joker and get it over with, he is stopped by Thomas Elliot. And as they continue having this little disagreement about how they're going to move forward, Hush goes on to reveal some crazy revelations as he goes on to say, "We both know, Jason, that you need my help. These fits of rage, the cerebral or brain pain you're hiding, your brain itself is deteriorating. There is just too much damage, even for the Lazarus pit to repair." Seemingly meaning, after all of this time, all of these years, Jason Todd living his life growing, but his brain itself was dying ever since. And now it's all catching up to him, and now he is in a position where he could die permanently. But again, we can't really trust the information that Hush is giving out because he is an unreliable narrator. Hush even realizing and intentionally knowing the cameras in the Batcave are still on as he said all of that. So when he now decides enough is enough and to destroy the cameras, even Batman himself realizes that anything Hush said could be the truth or it could just be a part of his twisted game. But for right now, that just leaves two big questions. What did they do and where did they take the Joker? And what is going on with Jason Todd? Is there truly something wrong with him? They even went as far as stealing the Batmobile. So when Batman heads out to continue his investigation with the only real clue he has, which is a singular scalpel made out of a very specific material, Damascus steel, he has to go on his little bat bike because his main ride was taken and stolen. Though this detail about this scalpel is very deliberate, specifically in this case because in a flashback back to when Bruce Wayne was a child, it turns out his father was the one, being a surgeon and in the medical field, was the one who created and crafted these special scalpels. Wayne Corp now being the entity that creates them at large to distribute for medical uses. But Bruce here as a child is more infatuated with the material itself, not just the fact that it's a scalpel. Because his friend Tommy Elliot, or right now as he is Hush, it turns out Tommy liked to play war games. So he wanted to make these small metal soldiers out of the same type of metal, maybe thinking that Bruce could give them to him as a birthday gift. Though, of course, as we know in the present, his parents were murdered, so those toy soldiers were never truly made. Though Bruce himself knows Thomas Elliot, Hush would set this for him to remember. Hush's overall master plan goes way beyond just Batman himself. Because sure, he can make him suffer, but it's even greater if he can make those around him suffer, as even with Jim Gordon, the police commissioner. Well, I'm not too sure if he's still commissioner currently in canon, but of course, a friend and overall ally of Bruce Wayne, the Batman, as he comes into his home one night and just sees a package, a little tablet with a sticky note saying from Batman as a friend. And it's not out of the realm that Batman would do something like this, being the secretive, elusive person that Batman is. This isn't too far-fetched, so Jim himself just goes to inspect it, turning it on, but instead sees some incriminating evidence of Batman in the exact situation where he decided to save the Joker. Now, of course, from Jim's perspective, this could be literally anything. This has no context about what's going on or what's happening. All he can see now is Batman helping the Joker. Though at the same time, though, because there's no context, it could look like Batman is actually harming the Joker. But after a while, Jim just says enough and decides to power down the tablet, pressing the off switch. Though this does the opposite effect, as it just self-destructs, blowing up in his face. So of course, you can pretty confidently say that this isn't from Batman, but instead another part inside of Hush's plan, with Gordon pretty roughed up from the explosion, looking pretty bad and almost on the brink of death. But also keep in mind, Jim Gordon isn't just connected to Batman, but another Bat family member, Batgirl, as we cut over to the Gotham Clock Tower, where we see her, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and the Riddler of all people. Because the Riddler here, Edward Enigma, he isn't just coming here to assist in Hush's plan, or at least that we know of. He's actually here to help. Because seemingly he not only knows Batman's true identity, but the rest of the vigilantes here. As he even goes on to specifically say, he knows all of the Bat family secrets. But it's not just the fact that it's crazy that one of Batman's smartest and cunning villains and the Riddler knows their identities, but the fact that if he knows, then who else? Nightwing even putting two and two together and realizing that it's Hush and how none of them are safe. Now it almost seems like a battling of wits, the Riddler versus Hush. Both are very intelligent and very cunning, able to put plans together that even stump Batman and the rest of the vigilantes in Gotham. Though Edward Enigma seems almost kind of jealous, or more like Hush is stepping on his territory. So he's working with the Bat family to get rid of this third-party threat. Because as Nightwing realizes that everyone in the Bat family are threats, he decides they have to get to Jason and try and save him first. But Riddler says that's exactly what Hush wants. The best course of action to beat whatever Hush is planning is to stay together, locked in, and coordinated. But that plan goes out of the window as just then Batgirl gets a signal and a call, realizing that it's her father, Jim Gordon, the ex-commissioner, downed and hurt. And even when the rest of the heroes tell her to stay, she leaves in a hurry because, as she even says, she doesn't care because it's her father, her dad, which again is interesting because it's just playing into Hush's plan. He wants to divide and conquer, flipping Batman's world and his relationships, even from his worst villain, the Joker, to his most trusted allies. The Riddler confirming this, saying each of you has at least one person you care about deeply, an Achilles heel, and that's where Hush will apply the pressure. But Nightwing decides to go forward anyway and try to find Jason Todd, the Red Hood. And eventually, as he tracks him down to the Gotham City Lighthouse, we see exactly where he is with the Joker's body. Now, for whatever reason, it seems like the Red Hood just falls in line to Hush's planning because maybe they need the Joker. Maybe he's a crucial step going forward, and that's why Jason Todd just hasn't put a bullet in his head when no one's looking. Of course, in this situation, Nightwing and Red Hood are at odds, so they instantly come to blows. Eventually, though, in the middle of fighting, Red Hood just puts his guns down, which becomes a crucial mistake because, quote-unquote, he doesn't need these to beat Nightwing, rushing into hand-to-hand combat, which is a horrible mistake against Nightwing, because arguably he is a better fighter, acrobat, and overall combatant than even Batman himself, which is a slightly hot take that a lot of people still don't agree with, that Nightwing has already now surpassed Batman in a lot of aspects, even though in canon we see Batman admit this, and even losing to Nightwing in certain situations. Though in the present, as they continue their battle, Red Hood makes the argument that he's only working with Hush because Hush has whatever he needs to save him. Nightwing, though, thinks this is all malarkey, and it's really just Hush manipulating Red Hood to further whatever end goals he has. Continuing the fight, Nightwing even says he's going to take him out of here even if he has to carry Red Hood out. But, and here's a very big but, in the middle of fighting, suddenly a gunshot rings past. Now, if you just think for a second, Red Hood did disarm himself and put his guns away, leaving only one other entity, one other alive person inside of this lighthouse who could even grab them. And yes, the Joker has not only woke up, but now has both of the vigilantes at gunpoint, meaning if he so choose and wanted to, he could technically kill two of Gotham's greatest defenders right here and now, with him even going on to say, "I've waited such a long time for this. Which one of you is faster than a speeding bullet?" Obviously not a super ideal situation for the heroes here, but back over with Batman, finally we see him make it to the Wayne Corporation headquarters, where he wants to go follow up with the Damascus steel and the specific scalpel that he found. But as he gets to the actual tower and climbs up, he finds a woman in the lab working late. This mysterious woman goes on to say that she, for one, didn't expect Batman to be here, and two, she didn't even think Batman was real. And at this point in time, Bruce has been Batman for what, like decades at this point. And so there's no way you wouldn't think Batman and other heroes like him were real. And this right here is the first instant that really sets Batman's detective mind off as he senses something is wrong. With him even thinking that everything about this woman is just a straight up lie, her name, her accent. Could she be working with Hush? Could this just be another moving part inside of his greater scheme? Showing that, yeah, even Wayne Enterprises, the company, isn't safe from Hush's influence. As just then, he is proven correct as she attacks Batman, saying that, yeah, they're not going to be friends. Her own body shifting and changing, kind of like a symbiote would, making tendrils and sharp weapons out of it and trying to decapitate and attack Batman. Batman even coming to the same realization that I've just said before. Simply asking himself, how long has she been embedded here as a sleeper agent? Truly, how far back did Hush plan all of this? Though Batman just isn't called the world's greatest detective for no reason, as he is able to come to a conclusion that she has to concentrate to hold her forms. So the solution to beating her is pretty simple. He simply just needs to break the concentration and then break her. Doing just that, but before he is able to get actual answers about where Hush is and what he is planning, just then a voice rings out, making Batman stop in his tracks, as we see the introduction of another man, the same man who took down the Joker from the previous issue. And it seems like this man's powers come from his voice. His voice, for whatever reasons, emits hypersonics. Batman even confirming that, yes, specifically it's from his designs. He created and used them on Killer Croc when he first encountered Hush. So ranging from the shapeshifter woman from before to this brute of a man here, it seems like Thomas Elliot Hush has changed the game. Instead of working with Gotham's criminal element and the bad guys, he instead instead wanted to surgically create his own allies. And the reason why this is so important and good for him is because he can specifically create people who can counter Batman and what he is planning. Though with Batman, whatever he does create and plan, there is always failsafes, as he then activates the audio block on his helmet, blocking out this man's main attack, the Sonics. Which again, cool, Batman thought on the fly and able to solve that problem. So he decides to take this man down like he does any other normal bad guy. But that is going to be a decision that isn't as fruitful as the first one, as because when Batman goes to stab the man in the neck, yeah, it literally does nothing. No matter how Batman attacks, where he attacks, it's like just hitting a solid brick wall. But not only is he freakishly strong and durable, to make it even worse, he is able to counter Batman's martial arts itself, as he catches and counteracts one of Batman's attacks. Batman even realizing this, saying his training is familiar. Whoever or whatever he is, Bruce, at least for right now, is completely outmatched. His opponent knows all of his moves, and he is bigger, tougher, stronger than Batman is physically. If Batman doesn't move out the way, somehow able to retreat and get out of there, yeah, his odds aren't looking very pretty. Though you are so woefully unprepared for what happens next, I'm just going to give you a second to think, just to guess what could possibly get Batman out of this situation. And if you were like the one person, I guess, Bane himself charging in with Damian Wayne, then you would be correct, as that's exactly what we see here. Which I have two things to say about this. One, it's just a reoccurring theme of Batman's old villains working with the Bat family to potentially fight against Hush and his new villains. Of course, with the Riddler from before, and now with Bane and Damian. And secondly, such a random and wild pairing. Now, I'm not sure if like him and Damian have any prior history or if there's a storyline I've missed where they're working together now, but Bane here actually comes to save Batman. Bruce being just as confused as I am, as in why is this son here with Bane, one of Batman's most dangerous enemies who literally broke him years prior, but for now he doesn't have time to think as they both just start jumping the man and fighting against him 2-on-1. Batman, while teaming up with Bane to fight a more dangerous opponent at this moment, even thinks to himself, who in all of this can he truly trust? Every maneuver he has made, everything he has done this entire time has been calculated, and that's exactly how Thomas Elliot plays. Because every plan he creates, every game he plays, he has to win. As we look over and see Hush himself finally enter, now having Damian in his grasp and at knife point, getting ready to end the little boy wonder. As he even goes on to say, it's a shame you can't be at two places at once, Batman. You have other knights in jeopardy. So any way you want to play this, Bruce, 3 Robins will die tonight, which in and of itself at face value is bad enough. But when you just think about it for a second, that means he knows that Joker, for whatever reason, has the other 2 at gunpoint, or at least is a threat to them, meaning maybe this entire time the Joker himself has been in on it, even unknowingly to Red Hood too. Just going on to show you that you just can't predict anything that's going to happen and who might switch to what side and who has been playing for who this entire time. Yeah, it's just a mess at this point. Though it's a mess that Batman and this entire Bat family are going to try to get out of in the next issue as this one comes to a close. As always, this was AJ here at the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.